How awesome would it be if you could travel from destination to destination and not have to stop for gas or diesel, or maybe just one time? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. Hey guys, welcome to Living Tomorrow Today. My name is Julio, and today we are going to talk about and install my brand new RDS auxiliary diesel tank. And what it does is that it basically carries diesel fuel for your vehicle. But let me go show you what it is real quick, and I'll talk about some specific things. I have a 2012 F250, and these trucks are a little different than the Dodge and the Chevys because of a little hump that I will show you. So let's go take a closer look at it, and we'll get into the whole RDS install in just a second. All right guys, so as you can see, this is the RDS. There's the part number 71110. It is a transfer tank. I think I said auxiliary tank, but this is a transfer tank. This part right here is kind of important. It says gravity feed allowed, diesel fuel only, and we'll talk about what that means in just a minute. And as you can see, this is a 55-gallon tank. If you own a Ford, and again, this is a 2012. I don't know if this applies to the newer models, but if you can tell, I hope you can, there is a slight curve that comes down on these sides, and it's on the other side as well. It's not flat like it is kind of here. This is a lot flatter here. Those curves right there obviously shortened the bed a little bit, and that's why I went with that particular model. One thing I was thinking of getting was a toolbox and fuel combo, but those were a little too long. So what I decided to do instead was just get the transfer fuel only. That way it was a little shorter. So let me see, if this is something that is interesting to you, I will put a link in the description if you want to order your own. It is actually a very light item. It's aluminum, and I know it's big and bulky, but it is definitely able to be picked up by myself, and definitely easy by two people. It is kind of bulky, so that makes it a little harder, but otherwise it's totally doable. So this is a 55-gallon tank, and to give you some comparison, my truck I believe holds 26 gallons. So I'm doubling what I can do with my truck alone, and the tanks actually only hold 95% of what they do, so it's not going to actually hold 55 gallons. It's going to hold just a little bit less. If you are interested in getting one, I'll put a link in the description. This one ran me $550, I believe. I think right here is where you would connect the part that goes for the hose, like at the gas station. And this right here is where I'm going to connect the line that goes through the truck, and I'm going to connect it to my fuel line right there. I think I'm touching it. Is that it? Yeah, to my fuel line. And that's called a gravity feed system. And what that's going to do is that I can just open up a little lever on the tank, and it will just drop the fuel automatically on its own into my fuel tank in the truck. Now I am not very good when it comes to things with vehicles. I'm not a mechanic at all. This is probably a very simple setup, but I just suck at stuff like this. So I hope I don't mess anything up, and hopefully I can make a good video for you guys. That way, if you are interested, you can use this as a guide. So this is the kit that I bought for the tank. As you can see right there, it says Ford 1999 to current. I hope that is accurate. But it's just a gravity feed system, so hopefully that works. And then this right here comes with, so this is separate. I had to buy this. This is $90. This right here comes with the tank, and these are like I think this is going to be like kind of like a really thick tape. I'm sure there's a name for it, but I don't know what it is. And it's going to go at the bottom of the tank to kind of help secure it to the bed, along with the bolts that I'm going to install. Okay, so let's start with just a few things you're going to need for the installation that don't obviously come with the kit or anything. You're going to need a measuring tape, because you have to measure out these strips and cut them the length of the box. So you will need some scissors, and then to mark, I'm just using a white coloring pencil that Sonora had, and that'll just make a little mark right there. So I went to AutoZone and I picked up some LocTight, and now this kind says that it is automotive grade for fuel fittings, oil and coolant. So this is just to put on the screws that I'm gonna for the line that I'll use for that, just to make extra sure that there's no leaking of any fuel. So you can pick that up at any AutoZone or O'Reilly's or whatever. I'll also put a link in the description if you want to go ahead and just order everything from Amazon. So the first step, it says, so place the tank and bed of the desired location. Check underneath the bed to ensure the desired tab location does not interfere with any components of the truck, such as wiring or hoses. Make the tab. So one difference is that the box they use in the instructions has tabs in the front. This model only has tabs on the sides, which I guess I'm not a super fan of, but that's what I got. So we're gonna go with that. So I'm gonna go position the transfer tank. I'm gonna look underneath the truck to make sure that there's no wires or anything sticking out where I'm gonna drill those holes. So I'm just looking underneath the bed where I think I'm gonna make the holes. I'm just kind of looking all up and down. You see the bed, it's right there. So I'm actually gonna be back here in this area. And I don't really see any danger of any holes anywhere or of hitting anything important. I'm gonna go to the other side just to make sure, and then I think I'm gonna drill those holes. So actually, one thing I just thought of is this is the gravity feed kit. I'm gonna open up this hose to make sure that I have enough hose to go from there to where it's gonna connect underneath the truck. So let's open that up real quick. Oh yeah, that's plenty of line. That's way more line than we'll need. All right, so now I'm gonna look on the other side. See, these are the tabs, so I'm gonna drill through that, and that's where the screw is gonna go. So let's see. So we'll go right there. All right, so I'm on the driver's side of the truck, and where I have the tank right now is pretty much in the center of the bed, but all of this is in the way, and I won't be able to put the nut on the bolts that are gonna go through. At least I don't think so. So I'm gonna scoot the tank further over to this open spot right there. And I got a bunch of stickers on me right where I was laying down, so let's get those off of me. Holy cow, that is a ton. Luckily they're kind of dead, so they don't hurt that much. Whoa, I got a bunch, look at that. Oh my God. Whew. Okay, I'm not gonna worry about that too much. So as you can tell, now the box is less centered and more over to the right. That way this tab right here, when I pull the screw through it, all of this isn't in the way, and when I make the hole I can screw it down. So the instructions say to mark the tabs and to mark the front of the tank, because that's where the strips will start. And when you put the strips, you want to do them not in the valleys, but on the humps. So I'm just gonna make my marks right there. I don't know that I'll use all of those, but at least I can have the mark. Do the same thing for this tab right here. So now I'm gonna drill a hole through the tab and then through the bed. So before we start drilling, it says to drill 1 5/16 hole in each tab and the bed of the truck, making sure as not to hit any wiring or other critical components of the truck. Okay. Alright guys, I don't know if you'll be able to see that on video, but I made my holes here. Hopefully you can see that. I made a hole right there. Now this hole is a bit at an angle. Okay, so now I'm going to measure out 4 strips of this neoprene. I think that's how you pronounce it, neoprene, sticky stuff, sticky tape, really thick sticky tape. I'm going to measure it against the length or the width of the tank and cut this down into 4 pieces and then stick it equally spaced as possible along the bed, sticky side down. Again, not in the valleys, but in the humps of the bed. All right, so that is 4 strips. So now I'm gonna just space it out. I'm gonna put one there. There's the edge. There. So the first strip, it says to do it sticky side down. I imagine this just comes off. It does. Roll that sticky. I'm gonna line it up. Okay, so now I'm going to place the tank back at its desired location, line up with the holes, place a washer on the 1/4 by 2.5 bolts, insert the bolts into the holes underneath the bed. Underneath the bed, place a washer, spring, washer, and then lock nut on the other side of the bolt. You will need 2 people to easily bolt the tank. Stop tightening the bolt once the spring starts to compress. Okay guys, so I want to show you how all of this goes in the holes that were drilled. In the holes that I made right there, and in the bed, first thing you're going to do is you're going to drop the bolt, and that's it, right? And now everything else takes place underneath the bed of the truck. So then I'm going to put a washer, then the spring, and then another washer, and then this lock nut. Okay guys, so there is the bolt. As you can see, I'm underneath on the driver's side. The passenger side was difficult because it was basically underneath this, and I had to reach around and hold it with one side, and I was basically holding a sit-up the entire time as I was bolting that down. So it's a little hard to hold the camera and do that at the same time. It does require both hands, and Nicole's on top holding this down so that when I put the spring and everything through, it doesn't just do that, what I'm doing right there. So Nicole's up there holding it, see, so now it doesn't go through. She's holding that there. So I'm gonna put the camera down and then I'll show you what it looks like. Okay guys, so I didn't show you, but all I really did was I took off this plug off of here, and then I installed this this metal valve that comes with the kit, and it's really just a matter of just screwing it on there. So I did use some LocTight, like I mentioned, and that's just to make sure that there's no leaks from the threads. And now, as you can see, it opens, and so that would be the closed position, and then now it's open if I need to let fuel go through. So the next thing is to connect the hose. I'm gonna drill the hole here, and then the scary part is cutting the fuel pipe at the bottom to get that fitting in there. So we'll start working on that. Okay guys, so if you have a, I think 2009 is when they started using DPF in trucks, you're gonna have this right here is the diesel, and this one right here is the DPF. So make sure you don't try and put anything on that and use this. Now, again, this is a 2012 F250. The pipe, this is where you insert the hose gun thing at the gas station on the outside, on the other side out here, and it just goes there, and then it puts the diesel in there, and then it just drains into your gas tank. So what I'm gonna, and it starts off metal, but then this part right here is rubber. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna release this clamp right here, and then I'm gonna attach the the install kit accessory right there where those two split, where the metal meets the rubber. And that's actually in the instructions. It says if you have that, that's probably the best place to do it. So I'm going to loosen that up and then put the connector that's going to go from the tank hose into that right there. So I just spent like an hour and a half looking for the right tool for the next part. I have to drill a hole on the side of the truck so that I can pass this hose through the truck. Now the instructions say that I need to make a 3/4 inch hole on the side of the truck to pass this through, and I didn't have a 3/4 inch bit, so I went and looked for one, and when I found one, they were expensive, and two, they're huge. And I was like, why do I need to make such a ginormous hole on the side of the truck to pass this through? So I called one of my buddies and who has a tank installed, and his suggestion was to make the hole just big enough, like make it a snug hole for the hose and pass it through, and that way I don't have to really worry about like the hose rubbing and vibrating and then and tearing. The other thing is I bought a rubber grommet that I can slip into the hole, and that way the hose just goes in through here just like that, instead of having to just pass through that hole that I made in the metal. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the drill bits that I already had, starting with the 5/16 and just seeing what I can do for this. And if that doesn't work, I'm gonna go up to the 3/8, which is the biggest one that I already had, and pass that through. And then if that doesn't work, then I'm eventually going to use this Irwin uni bit that I bought. And this one does have the 3/4 size, and that'll be last resort, because I would like to take this back, because this was $35, I think. Trying to use my 3/16 drill bit that I already had is not going to work. There is no way that I can make that fit right there. It's way too small of a hole. So maybe I do need a 3/4 inch hole. So I'm gonna open up this bad boy and make a bigger hole. Okay, so where I am there, that works. Let's go to the other side. Okay, so I was able to install the grommet, which is awesome. And I wish I could have recorded myself doing it, but I needed both hands. But what I did was I used the file, and I just I shoved it in, and then I would just use the file to, I mean, and you can use anything. I just happen to use a file. I'm sure any tool. I didn't want to use my finger because I was afraid I'd cut myself, but I just kind of worked it in there, and it just really went in real easy. Now, instead of having a sharp edge, I have this rubber grommet, and the hose goes in there perfectly. So that worked out really well. So now I'm gonna connect one end here, pass it through, and start working on the bottom part of the truck. So here is the plan. I'm going to release, let's see if I can get a little better. That right there, that clamp, I'm going to release it, because to the left of that clamp, that rod, that's a metal pipe, and then to the right of it is rubber. So I think I can use that space in between there to put the rest of the connection for the fuel line. So I'm going to work on releasing that right there, and then we'll see what happens after that. Okay, so I sprayed some WD-40 on the clamp, and I was able to get it off. It came off actually pretty easy. However, the hose has been on, the rubber hose has been on the metal portion for so long that it doesn't want to come off. So I think I'm going to use my Sawzall to go ahead and just cut the cut a section into the rubber hosing, and then I will connect this in between the section of rubber hose that I cut. And then of course right here is where this will go from the transfer tank into the main truck tank, fuel tank. Okay guys, so after much struggle, I was finally able to cut enough of the rubber hose off so I could put the metal fitting in there. I did use the Sawzall. It wasn't difficult, but it was such a tight space. It took a while, but I finally got it. And I went ahead and connected the hose right there, and I put the clamp, I ran it through, and then so here it is right here. And then I don't know if you can see, but I'm gonna connect it over there, and then I'm done. My advice is just pay somebody to do it. I got quoted 150 bucks to get it done. It would have been worth it. So I'm glad that I did it, because if anything goes wrong, I mean, I know exactly what I did. I mean, it's not, I'm basically just connecting the hose. So, but in the future, you know, I mean, any maintenance, if that hose starts to go down, go wear out, I know what happened because I installed it. So maintenance will be easier down the road. So I'm going to finish installing that, and then I'm going to shower because I am filthy. Another recommendation is I would take a powerful hose from like the car wash place and rinse all the bottom of your vehicle off. Get as much gunk as you can off of it, because holy cow, it was bouncing and falling everywhere. It got in my eyes, got in my mouth. It was kind of gross. So that's another tip. I'll show you guys the very ending here in just a few minutes. We got it installed. We clamped everything down. Let me just kind of run you through one more time. Let me run you through a mistake I did. Locking these bolts down on the sides, or if the one that you buy has some in the front, do that last. You don't want to put this too close to the truck, and then you don't have enough room. So fortunately I had enough room, otherwise I would have had to undo all of this to move it out of the way. Once you have that there, you just run it through there, and then it just connects through the cut that I made, and I can turn it on and off right here. I'll be honest with you guys, I'm super tired. It's really hot. I'm ready to end this video. Hopefully you learned something from this. If you have any questions, something I didn't explain right, just give me a holler. Leave me a comment below and I'll try and answer it for you. Yeah, other than that, if you learned anything, please give me a thumbs up. If you want to watch more videos like this, or videos related to our full-time RV life, hit that notification bell. That way you know every time we put out a new video. Smash that subscribe button, and I will see you all at the next video. Bye.